Okay, I think it's recording now. Hello everybody, my name is Christopher Marks Dollar, and for my final project I decided to extend and expand our RAG system that we built for General Conference talks a few months ago. Now the approach I took is a little bit different. I've added a few talks, so it has everything now that Gospel Library has all the way back to 1971, as well as I've chunked the talks a little bit differently than we did in class. Rather than chunking it by talk or chunking it by paragraph in every single talk, I've split it into two groupings. I've made my own parent chunks that are fixed size and token, and then I've further split those parent chunks up into child chunks. The way I've set it up, there's about 8 child chunks per parent chunk. And the reason that I've done that is for vector search. In order to make the vector search in the database efficient and return better results, if I just put the entire talk in there, then the fine details that a talk might discuss would get lost in the mud. And so in my vector database, I've placed those children chunks that are matched by ID to their parent chunks, which I use later. And so kind of the flow that I have for this project is a user asks a question to the chat here. That question is then embedded using OpenAI's version 3 embedding model, which is then sent to my vector database. I'm using Pinecone to return the top 20 children chunks that are related to my question. Those child chunks are then matched to their parent chunks, and then all of those parent chunks are then sent to Cohere, which is a re-ranking model, which will take my question and look at all of the sources that my vector database returned and rank them in order of relevance to my question. And that's so that I return the top 20 from the vector database so I can get a breadth of information on the subject. But if I fed all 20 of those sources to ChatGPT and told it to give me an answer, that's a lot of sources for Chat to try to sort through. And so that's why I sent it to Cohere and say, I actually have it return the top 8 results related to my question. And then from there, I actually only use the top 5 sources to answer my question. So that's kind of my setup. Here's what the app looks like and how it works. It's hosted right now as talkfinder.streamlit.app. And that should be still running by the time you guys are all watching this, so feel free to go check it out and mess around with it a little bit. So here we've got 2 modes. We've got Chat Answer and Talk Finder. So in Chat Answer, I can ask it a question, such as, how can I hear the Lord's voice? And it's going to take those 5 talks that are end up being sent to ChatGPT and base its answer off of that. And so what this means is that the chat answers that it produces are based on specific talks and specific information. At the bottom here, it tells you what sources it used, and you can click on these links to actually go and read the talk. And it seems to work pretty well. So, for example, the question was, how can I hear the Lord's voice? The talks that are returned are The Still Small Voice, 1976, Listening to the Voice of the Lord. So it seems to do a pretty good job at finding relevant sources, and the responses seem to be pretty good too. The other feature that I have here is just a straight talk finder. So rather than trying to generate an answer to your question, this is just using that same vector database to try to find talks that are relevant to your question. So maybe I could look up the importance of fatherhood to the Lord. And this is just going to return, since 1971, what it thinks are the most relevant talks to that question. And it gives each one of them a relevance score from that vector database. Happiness is Having a Father Who Cares, 2016 Fathers by Christofferson, Fatherhood and Eternal Calling. So anyways, that's my app. You can load more at the bottom here if you want to see more. Yeah, this was important to me, and I think is important overall because, you know, like I say, this is every single General Conference talk since 1971, and nobody's going to be able to go through and read every single General Conference talk. There's just so much information. There's so much data. It took my program about half an hour to embed all of that information and then stick it into a vector database. So if it takes a computer half an hour to parse through all this information, you can imagine how long it'd take for us to do that. And so that's where this project comes in, is using AI and vector database, RAG search. We're able to parse through that vast lake of information and get maybe just the parts that are relevant to us to be able to answer our questions right now. So whether it's church talks, really this would be awesome for the scriptures too. It's just a tool that helps us to digest maybe the most relevant information in the huge sea of information that we have. So that's my project. I would love to hear what you guys think about it and what features you might want to see. Maybe how you would expect an interface like this to work, and what would be the most beneficial, productive features for you guys in a system like this. So anyways, thanks for checking it out.